Go with the seams, thumb on the bottom, or you can go across the seams. Either way, it's still a 2-seam fastball grip. Here's the 5 index finger placements. Here we've got my favorite changeup grip. Thumb on the bottom, 2 middle fingers together in between the 2-seam grip, loosely held in the back of the hand, and then you're going to pronate on the inside of it. Here's a 4-seam fast. Here we've got my favorite changeup grip. Thumb on the bottom, 2 middle fingers together in between the 2-seam grip, loosely held in the back of the hand, and then you're going to pronate on the inside of it. Here's a 4-seam fastball grip. Thumb on the bottom, 2 fingers, not too wide of a gap. Horseshoe can be either left or right. All right, pitchers, here's a 2-seam fastball grip. You can go with the seams, thumb on the bottom, or you can go across the seams. Either way, it's still a 2-seam fastball grip. Here's the 5 index finger placements for the curveball grip. Whichever way is more comfortable, none's better than the other. Thumb on the bottom on the inside of the seam, middle finger on the inside of the top seam, and that one's going to put the pressure and the spin over top of the ball. Here are a bunch of different ways to grip a slider. The slider grip is not nearly as important as just learning to throw the pitch properly. I've talked to many of my former pro teammates. If you talk to 5 different pitchers, they throw their slider with 5 different grips. So it's really about finding the grip that works for you, where you feel like it'll come off firmly off your fingertips. Here's a knuckleball grip. Make sure your index finger and your middle finger, your fingernails, are in the leather. They're not on the seams. Bunch of different ways to throw a knuckleball, but this is a good one. Here's a split finger fastball grip, also known as a splitter. There's 2 different ways to throw it. You can go with it here, with the horseshoe facing you, or you can go with the horseshoe facing away, more like a 2-seam grip. Either way, you want your fingers to slide down the sides of the ball. This is a sinker grip or a 1-seamer grip. This can be a common way to get a little more sink on your 2-seamer rather than throwing a 2-seamer, that is. Try this one out, tinker with it, see if it'll get the ball to sink. This is a cutter grip, and this is a very slightly offloaded, sort of off-center 4-seam grip. You can go with the horseshoe facing to the right or to the left, doesn't matter which hand you throw with. But you're just going to tilt the ball just slightly. You can see my fingers are tilting towards 1 instead of 12 o'clock, and that is going to help the ball release just a little bit angled off of your fingertips.
In other news, Nevada residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Nevada resident, as long as you live within a zip code in the state, you can apply to have your auto insurance rates reduced significantly. All you have to do to qualify is to have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years. If that's you, we put a link.
What's up, baseball players? Coach Dan Blewett here. In today's video, we're going to go over pitch grips for basically all the big 5 pitches in baseball. So that is the curveball grip, the slider grip, changeup grip, sinker grip, and cutter grip. Now, I recommend that every player throws a changeup. I think a sinker can be right for some players, not others. I have a pretty in-depth video on the 2-seamer and why I don't think it's right for most players. I don't think the cutter is right for almost any amateur player. And I think every player needs either a curveball or a slider, and that's up to you, and you're going to try to figure out which one's better for you, which one you can spin better, and which one's best for your arm slot and your style of pitching. But in today's video, we're just going to go over the basic pitching grips and some of the things you can think about. Now, if you want to learn more about each individual one, I will link below to my more in-depth videos. All those videos are about 7 to 10 minutes, and they're really in-depth and detailed for each of the curveball, sinker, slider, changeup, and cutter. So I have a longer one for each, so we'll cover each of these today in quick overview. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Dan Blewett. I'm a former pro pitcher. I do lots of tutorials